Hi, I'm Jennifer Mulchandani.
And I'm Heather Michaelgard.
Welcome to the M Word,
where we have uncensored conversations on all things marketing. Due to COVID, we are not recording in the studio and apologize for any poor audio or technical glitches. As soon as it is safe, we will have our guests with us in the studio. Until then, stay healthy and wear a mask.
Well, hello and welcome to the M Word. My name is Jennifer Mulchandani.
And I'm Heather Michaelgard.
And we are coming to you from Arlington Strategy in Arlington, Virginia. Today's guest is Eric Stern from Casual Adventure. Eric is a fourth generation owner of the store with deep roots in the Arlington community. Our Casual Adventure has been a lot of things over the years, from a grocery store to an Army Navy surplus store, and has now become the area's most iconic mountaineering and adventure outfitter. Casual Adventure is the epitome of community service and business longevity in Arlington, and also a fellow Best Business awardee from the Arlington Chamber of Commerce this past year. We're very glad to have you here today, Eric. Thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me. And whoever wrote that introduction, you're hired.
Well, to kick us off, why don't you please just tell us a little bit about your role at Casual Adventure, how your responsibilities in terms of marketing, and just set the stage for our listeners.
Sure. So as you mentioned, we are a fourth generation family owned and operated outdoor and adventure store. We've been through many iterations over the years. Started by my great grandfather back in the 40s as a district grocery store. My grandfather, who fought World War II, helped transition it to Army Navy surplus, which was sort of the first generation of outdoor camping equipment. My dad was here for about 30 years and sort of went from that Army Navy surplus more towards the outdoor goods that we have now. And then I've been here about 20 years and have added sporting goods to the mix as well. So I am here just about all day, every day, and love seeing customers walk through the doors or be able to interact through social media or online platforms like this. As far as marketing goes, we've got a great staff, and as a small biz, everybody helps out with everything. So every Instagram post you see, every Twitter feed response, every reply to an email, that's one of the staff that's here on site. So sort of a jack of all trades and hopefully master of some. But our constant challenge, I think, in this particular area is reaching a ever-changing audience. DC metro area tends to change over from everything from government to tech to State Department every couple of years. And so while we have had many customers for decades, our challenge is always getting the word out to new customers and introducing our store to them. So that's where we look to places like Arlington Strategy to help formulate some ideas and re-engage and interact with everybody on a continuous basis.
Great. Eric, before the show, you had talked to us about marketing and that you appreciate it. What is it about marketing that you appreciate? And you're glad it's not your sole job, but what is it? What components of it do you appreciate the most?
Sure. So marketing is obviously a representation. It's how our store presents itself through various media, be it print ads, TV, social media. It's people's either first impression or continued impression of us until they walk into the store or as they continue to walk through the store. So I appreciate the fact that it's a way that we can put ourselves in our best light. Sometimes we have a lot of time to consider how we present ourselves. And other times, like with social media, it may just be a quick snap of the fingers and story that we want to put out there for people. I am glad that it is not my sole responsibility because it does take a lot of time and effort. And we are constantly talking with other customers about how they use their marketing ploys. And it is ever changing. So I feel like we are constantly reading and analyzing data, interviewing other customers, other stores to figure out not just what are the best platforms to be on in this particular moment, but how do we continue to evolve to present ourselves on all these new platforms that are emerging. So again, it's a lot of time and energy and expertise that goes into it. The Google Analytics, obviously, there's a lot of back-end data that can be delved into. But again, it's a lot of time that you can spend either going over numbers and data and crunching that information or trying to figure out your next move. So just like anything else in these times, there's so much information and so much data that it's constantly evolving.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that you said, it takes so much time, and I really appreciate hearing that, because as you're a business owner and you could be directing your team to do lots of different things on a daily basis. And I think a lot of businesses maybe don't understand or appreciate necessarily the time commitment to engage in all the different marketing tactics that you've already outlined. So how, when you think about the priorities for your staff and your own time, how much goes into marketing versus the other factors that are involved in, your merchandising and product collection and all the other things that you have to do to keep your business going?
Sure. So sales and revenue obviously is a top priority, right? Without that money coming in, it's hard to prioritize other things. So our staff knows that their number one job is to meet and greet people coming through, meet and greet people out in the neighborhood, meet and greet people in their everyday lives, and engage in conversation, which is a part of marketing. But however we can get sales in a positive light, that's our main priority. After that, marketing is how we continue to engage and interact with people. And so there are times of year where we'll dedicate, a full day to planning out our budget, perhaps for our TV advertising, or an entire day to figure out, how are we going to have some of our advertising be in concert with each other on multiple platforms, be it, TV, radio, print ads, that it's a consistent message across all those things simultaneously or in semi-concert. And there's days that we don't do any marketing whatsoever. And we try to counterbalance those with examples like we did just a few days ago, where we had our first batch of tennis balls come in. Why do we do tennis balls? Because we had 1,000 people coming in from Quincy that were playing tennis up that kept asking for them. So we brought the order in, the data arrived, we did a post on Google, we did a post on Instagram story, Facebook, and Twitter, just announcing the fact that we had it. And that was, pretty instantaneous and but fun. And then the result was that out of our first order, we sold 20% of it in the first 2 days. So it really fluctuates. Obviously, being a small business and trying to prioritize on a day-to-day basis. But there are days we definitely sit down and look over everything that we're doing and say, how can we do this more efficiently? How can we do it better? But how can we also have fun with it and be kind of instantaneous?
So, Eric, being in retail, it can often be a crowded market. Have you seen other retailers do anything that was a little cringeworthy to you that you didn't agree with?
This past year, I think everybody did what they felt they had to do to survive. So I wouldn't say that anybody did anything cringeworthy. There were obviously, some elements that I personally have not done. I think some companies did things in haste or out of desperation, which maybe is not always the best catalyst for presenting yourself in a good light. But you can't place blame because of the interesting situation that we were in. I think you're starting to see that people are taking their time now and recreating or rebranding their retail markets to navigate our current situation, which is what we're doing as well. So we did a lot of videos. We did again a lot of posts. We emailed customers. We talked on the phone with a lot of folks. So we took a different approach to marketing and advertising, which is what I think a lot of similar stores to us did as well, from what I hear. again, I wouldn't want to downplay anybody's efforts in the past year. I think everybody was courageous for whatever they presented of themselves, and I think you're starting to see people get more online with either their traditional approach or some variation of their traditional approach.
So let's talk about just the last 12 months and the pandemic and how so many people did have to pivot their marketing. What did you see that you wouldn't have done yourself? And what did you do to keep the doors open?
Sure. So we were deemed essential and were never shut down through the past 12 months. We did obviously see a drop off in people coming through the doors and a drop off in online sales, especially initially. But we made a very concerted effort to use that time to really engage one-on-one with a lot of our customer base. And so we did FaceTime calls, we did traditional phone calls, we emailed, we texted, engaged on social media, and really just spent the opportunity to get to know our customer base better, right? How are you doing? How's your family doing? What are you guys up to? And then our marketing effort in that time frame was, we understand that things are crazy now. When you're ready, we'll be here for you, right? People will get back out again, as we're starting to see going into the spring. And what's nice is the customers that we really spent the time to get to know better are the ones that are really spreading the word, and word of mouth goes a far way, especially in the community. And so a lot of folks that come through, are informing us they heard about us through a friend of theirs or through a neighbor of theirs, or they'd heard about us from a friend and then they saw our commercial and that reminded them, to come in. So again, it's a little out of the ordinary. I don't think on any other previous year that we had taken that direct route to touch base one-on-one with our customers. But it's something that we've tried to continue with, right? And so not everybody has time for a half hour or hour meeting, but they have time for a 2-minute phone call. Hey, just checking in on you. How's the baseball team doing? How's the scout troop doing? How's your company doing? Are you getting back to work, or getting out traveling? What's the future look like? So it's been a much more personal dynamic.
Eric, who in your organization were making those phone calls or having those conversations? Is it you, or is it your whole team?
So I'll do a lot of them, but our manager John has been excellent. It's very engaging via email, via phone. Phil is here quite a bit. That's again, he's been emailing and talking to folks as well. Dee has been here. So our core staff is really the identifiable personalities in our store. Although we're very fortunate that most of our staff has been here for a long time, even the part-timers. So again, we want to use the people from our store that are most recognizable to our customer base.
Okay. Well, so let me ask you a little bit different question, because you have you've touched on a lot of tactics. I mean, you've really the whole gamut. You've done guerrilla marketing, you've done print, radio, social media. You've mentioned like the whole toolkit in our conversation already. But can you recall a time or anything that you've tried that just bombed? You didn't get an ROI that you had hoped for, or you're off base with your messaging? Like, if you have anything like that to share.
Sure. So we I wouldn't say it bombed, but we tried something out of the ordinary for us, which was a promotion on a local radio station for a $100 gift certificate. Again, times were slow. And I think we missed the mark a little bit with the audience, the primary audience of that particular station. The idea was to sort of introduce or reintroduce our brand to, I guess, a younger dynamic than we normally market to see if we could boost more online sales, to see if we could boost more interaction on our social media. It was a decent response. It wasn't a great response. Not a whole lot of people said that they heard it, but it may be something, just because it was new for us, that we'll delve into again and see if repetition is more of a success, or see if one of the sister brands on the radio station is more in line with our particular demographic. We're always willing to try new things, and the fact that we've been here for so many years, it's hard to point to one particular thing and just say, let's never do that again. I think it's more just a matter of trying to tweak and prioritize.
Eric, I want to pivot a bit and talk about the community and cause marketing. Have you incorporated any cause marketing into your strategy? And can you tell us about what that might have looked like?
Absolutely. So we are very involved in the community overall, and love all the causes that we work with. Some new, some on a continued basis. We're very, very active with the schools. And traditionally, a lot of schools have asked small businesses for gift certificates or products to use as fundraisers. And we've really used this year as an opportunity to engage in conversations with some of the PTAs and schools, and really question not necessarily the end game, but how can you use a small business more efficiently, right? Is a $30 item or gift certificate, or a $100 item or gift certificate really going to be a benefit? Is that money going to be used towards a big box or a pizza buy? Not that would really happen this year. And so the conversation we've had is, what is it that you're raising money for? And how can we help provide that at a cost that's more efficient? So that's been kind of an exciting new way of marketing for us. We've participated in the Jen Bush Lawson fashion show this year. Again, awesome cause. The Lawsons come in here all the time. Great local family. They usually have a 5K, and they tried something new this year. So again, the initial response when they said fashion show, we're like, we're an outdoor store. How are we going to engage, interact with that? But we had a lot of fun. John and I made a video together. My son edited it, put the music in, the graphics in, and we kind of put it out there for people. It was again a great cause, a great local fundraiser. How could we help? Let's try something new. We recently sponsored. I'm trying to think that things on an annual basis. The 9/11 5K. Again, something near and dear to our heart, right? I mean, this is the Pentagon was right in our backyard. My dad was right on 395 at Ridge Road when the Pentagon got hit. We work a lot with local law enforcement, and so traditionally we have a table and booth out there. We want to support everybody in our community, especially those who help protect us and support us as well. Scouts traditionally have fundraisers. For Girl Scouts, we must get asked 1,000 times a year, will you buy Girl Scout cookies from us? And of course, we would love to buy Girl Scout cookies from all 1,000 Scouts that come through. But the past few years, we've turned it around and made it more of a competition, right? So one year we said, how can you build something out of cookie boxes, kind of like Legos, right? And we'll judge that. Or how can you incorporate the names of Girl Scout cookies to match something that identifies with your troop? So again, it's a great way for kids to start to think about not just the sales perspective, but how to be more creative. I'm trying to think. We have dealt with Arlington Little League, Arlington Babe Ruth, Arlington Travel Baseball, Arlington Youth Lacrosse, the Arlington Optimists. It's we really try to participate actively in our community, and that's something genuine because those are the people that we see on an everyday basis and that we interact with when we're outside of the walls of this store. So, we had a phenomenal opportunity to even clothe and outfit a Arlington County police officer whose house burned down. I was honored they came into our store to consider us for a donation like that. I was happy to do that. But those are the sort of engagements that, for us are on a personal level that we want to be able to help those around us. So Ace Band, we collect for on a continuous basis. And there's a pile of clothes that we donate just about every month. Take the kids out to AFAC, right? I mean, again, the kids we met there, the families we met there, come in the store. The people that help out on a daily basis come in the store. So, it goes back to Sesame Street, right? These are the people in your neighborhood. So that's how we want to engage and interact.
I love everything you just shared, Eric, because I mean, I think we share a very similar philosophy of engaging in an authentic way in the community that is serving you and your business too. I just would be curious, it sounds like a lot of these associations in sponsorships have grown organically over the longevity of the business, but are there other organizations or businesses in the community that you look to as another maybe mentor or others who've shown this type of leadership that you admire or you would want to emulate on a bigger scale if you were that type of brand?
Absolutely. Arlington is such an active community and has a phenomenal range of small business owners. And I think we rely on each other. We tend to engage a fair amount. I mean, I talk to the folks at the Italian store all the time. I talk to Trivista USA all the time. I talk to Fireworks. I talk to the guys at Wilson, Rocklands. And I think that a lot of these small business owners take the same approach that we do, where how can we participate in our community? And then, the sales and revenue based on that is kind of a bonus. But I tend to talk to more small business owners than larger businesses, just because I think that we're on the, more of a similar playing level. Of course, I would love to be able to, do something phenomenal like Nestle, had offered to donate a pallet of water for an event that we were trying to put together. I mean, it was an amazing gesture that we had contacted Arlington Magazine, Greg over there to get a contact at Nestle. He put us in touch with somebody who put us in touch with somebody else. The event never took place, but the fact that we wanted to purchase these and they offered to provide it, as goodwill for our local community, that's awesome. I mean, that's a connection that I never would have made had I not known Greg at Arlington Magazine or some of the other contacts through the Chamber of Commerce. Are there big scale productions that have races all through the spring, summer? Yeah, I mean, those are phenomenal organizations, and I'm glad that there's companies like General Dynamics that are right across the street that participate actively. Pacers does an awesome job putting on their events, and another local chain. So I think everybody's trying to do their part to make this a pleasant community to live in and a fun one to participate in. But on personal engagement, I tend to interact more with the smaller stores that are on our scale.
Eric, have you had an aha moment in your career, either just in business in general or specifically to marketing?
Yeah, that's a great question. When we were first developing our second website, right, the sky was the limit. We were creating this amazing platform. We were going to take over, the outdoor retail space. And the aha moment was that, a lot of time and effort and money goes into creating a platform like that and a website like that. And so once we started looking at the data, we realized that like 80 some odd % of our orders are from within 10 miles of our store. And so the people that were engaging with our website were local folks that wanted to support us or weren't able to come into the store for any given reason, or were customers that had lived here for a certain amount of time and had moved away and still wanted to support us. And so we completely changed our approach from the sky is the limit to back to a local force that all we need to do is concentrate on our niche and our geographical area, and again, anything above and beyond that is just icing on the cake.
That's great. It sort of goes to the there's and this is like competitors always worry, like, is there enough for me? And what I'm hearing you say is our community is strong, our community loves what you're serving them, and there's enough business to be had doing what you do best instead of trying to be all things to everybody potentially outside, and really
Right.
being that local that you've really perfected.
Yeah, and I think customers really appreciate when we don't have something and refer them to another store that we know we'll take as good a care of them as we do. So District Angler, for example, just a mile or two down the street, it specializes in fly fishing. I can't tell you how many customers we send there and they send to us. And people come back and say, hey, thanks for the recommendation. So you can't be all things to all people all the time, but you can be a lot of things to a lot of people close by.
Well, so let me just ask you, because now you've got some longevity under your belt running Casual Adventure. If you could go back and give yourself some marketing advice, when you took over the reins of the business, what do you wish you knew on day one that you've had to learn?
I think having a clear idea of what your store does and being able to convey that to people is of most importance. When I first came on, a lot of people just referred to us as, mom and pop outdoor shop. It's great, but it really doesn't convey everything that we do. And so, coming through, again, so many years before me, and having to rely on the previous generations, not that there wasn't a concise image of who we were, but I think to be able to vocalize that more clearly is probably of most importance.
So Eric, before we go, this is your chance to brag and tell our listeners, if they've never walked into Casual Adventure or gone onto your website, why should they? Why go to Casual Adventure over one of the bigger brands?
Sure. So hopefully, this interview in its entirety is good enough to introduce you not just to myself as an individual, but what it is that we stand for here in Arlington and our community. So yes, we are a specialty outdoor store, right? We have adventure travel, we have scouts, we have sporting goods, and we have military tactical. Those are our 4 branches. Know that every dollar that you spend here goes back into our community. We support a lot of local organizations, and we're happy to do such. We're always out and about listening to new ideas, trying to engage, interact with new people. And I think one of the most phenomenal elements of our store is that we tend to know a lot of our customers by name as they know us. We know their dogs' names, their kids' names, right? We see them out on the trails. Usually I know the dog and kids' names before I know your name, so I apologize for that. But it's kind of like, one of our previous managers said, it's like Cheers without the beer. So it's a great place to hang out, have fun. But it's also a great selection of all the products you need to get outside.
That's really awesome, Eric. This has been super enlightening and fun to hear so much of your insight and story. I think I love, and I think Heather agrees with me, that quote, "Cheers without the beer" is just perhaps the name of another campaign that you could run. Before we leave, can you tell our listeners where they can find you and the store online and in real life?
Sure. So our physical address is 3451 Washington Boulevard, Arlington, Virginia, 22201. We're right next to Rockland's Barbecue and across the street from Giant Food, not too far from W&L and Quincy Park. Online, you can find us at casualadventure.com, Facebook /Casual Adventure. Instagram is casual__adventure. And our Twitter handle is at VA Casual ADV. Something that, a little out of the ordinary, but it was available and we started it years ago. So that's what we've continued with.
Oh, that's great. And we'll have live links to all of those digital platforms too on our site with this. So terrific. I know I enjoyed it. Heather's nodding, smiling in agreement. We really appreciate your time here today, Eric, and to all people listening. Thank you for taking the time and sharing your story.
Thank you. And thanks for all you guys are doing for the small biz community. Really appreciate it. You're doing a great job.
Thanks for listening. We hope you'll come back. Subscribe to the M Word wherever you listen to podcasts. And for more uncensored conversations, visit the M Word page at arlingtonstrategy.com.